Good day, Chairman Warren, Ranking Member Cassidy, and members of the Subcommittee on Financial Responsibility and Economic Growth, and all staff and others who are watching this video. We're talking today about promoting competition, growth, and privacy protection in the technology sector. This comes from my comments for the record for the hearing on Tuesday, December 7th at 9:30. The technology sector has certainly been an attractive target for those who seek to create a wealth tax, which is why we believe the subcommittee is addressing the topic. Whether this sector produces long-term wealth for its owners is questionable, however. Founders are often leveraged, and cash flow comes not from revenue, but from continued capitalization, or even borrowing from shares. When making comments on wealth and social media, I always ask the following question. How often do you buy a product that is advertised on the platform? Me neither. When I buy things, I go to Amazon and similar sites and browse. When I buy airline tickets, I go to the carrier's webpage or a page where I can compare prices. On some media sites, I may follow an ad from one influencer to another, but the ads are simply an annoyance, not an opportunity to buy something outside of my budget. The jury on commercial advertising success in this sector is still out. Any regulation of such advertising is or should be the job of the Federal Trade Commission. Advertising in such an environment is no different than advertising in other broadcast or print media. If there are gaps in the law, they can be easily filled by the appropriate committee, which is not this one. Social media is by nature monopolistic. Our generation finds old classmates, paramours, and even disconnected relatives in one place rather than across multiple platforms. Should the inability to stay afloat without capital infusions be realized, many of us will search for different platforms as a group, using old-fashioned technologies like the telephone to decide where to land, or rather to communicate it. True social groups are not really a productive market for most advertising. Indeed, in order to remain friends, even political advertising debates run out of steam, and we don't do the advertising either. Of late, it is the political advertisements that are attracting the most attention. There's a very real concern about online sedition, although seditionists who use public sites are not the sharpest of tacks in the desk drawer. For an example, if it were not for the lives lost and the potential of real mayhem, the insurrectionists would have been comical. It was based on Mr. Eastman's rather wishful reading of the 12th Amendment. Once alternative states became an impossibility, or rather slates became an impossibility, the winner had to be the current president. That's just math. Even if all the contested state delegations were admitted, Biden had more electoral votes, 232 to 213. A clear reading of the amendment states that the House counts only a majority of valid electors. Invalidating electors reduces the total. Even if a kangaroo Congress, which would have involved violence, found a way to kill or detain members to get a majority to their liking, the rule of law is strong enough in this nation and in its military for the traitors to have succeeded, meaning there's no way that it would have worked. The organizers would have simply been arrested immediately, rather than having the current FBI and congressional investigation, including the ethics committees, finish their work on their own schedule. Our democracy was never in real danger, although members of Congress certainly were. Most social media politics is not blatantly stupid or dangerous. The real muscle of the militia movement is currently rotting in the District of Columbia jail. Most will realistically face long prison terms, as will certain members of the legislature who, if they were in any way part of the master conspiracy, they are going down. Existing law will punish the guilty, as will the Ethics Committee. Having eliminated commerce, capital finance, and sedition as concerns for the technology sector or its regulation, it is time to address what is left and why there is little that can be done by this or any other committee. Issues of competition, growth, and privacy must be considered around the issues of political speech and advertising. Platforms have of late been policing themselves. Twitter or were shut down. Parler, when extremists became dangerous and impossible to ignore. Includes the former president, of course. Any discussions along these lines are probably best discussed by the Intelligence Committee and their staff. A new minority leader with accompanying new staff in the other chamber can be trusted to get down to business on this issue. The avenues for Congress to regulate political advertising have been foreclosed by the Constitution and the courts. The following items cannot be touched: the content of political speech on social media or related to social media. The same applies to issues and independent campaigns. Social media leaves a trail that could prove the independent campaigns are more linked to the main campaign is always a positive. The FEC needs adequate staffing to follow such leads and a more robust membership model. The current structure would be comical if it did not endanger our democracy. The FEC must also build stronger relationships to the Intelligence Committee to avoid a repeat of 2016. I suggest more shoes will drop soon. The question of the privacy of data in this context consists mostly of voter identification, get out the vote, and fundraising data. When funds are raised, at least those going to a candidate's political committee or the candidate himself, this information must be public. For dark money committees, more sunshine is desperately needed, so we need less privacy there. President Obama's campaign has perfected the tools for doing all this in 2008. The Trump campaign merely followed the existing playbook. Any campaign that does not target voters and donors using the same methods should not bother filing papers to get on the ballot. Regulations on soliciting contributions and volunteers are problematic. The real gold in electoral politics are good donor and volunteer lists. Having done a few campaigns, that is the most important thing. The kind of donors and activists who are most in demand already know that their information is as valuable to future campaigns as it is for the campaigns they're working on. Adding fine print to donations or possibly a video to be watched before making a contribution or volunteering would be worthwhile to let first-time donors know what they're truly signing up for. This would be helpful to them, but I wish you luck in getting such measures passed. No one wants to be the first to warn potential donors, although in the long run, it may be a selling point for reform-minded candidates, one of which we know rather well. Thank you, Madam Chair. As long as the Supreme Court takes a broad view of what constitutes political speech and measures to regulate it constitutionally, have as much chance to pass as those on flag burning, and neither should pass. Where there is little that Congress can do to regulate the use of technological speech. As long as there are moneyed interests in politics, these issues will arise. And the problem, of course, is capitalism itself. The truth is, even if capitalism is entirely replaced by a more cooperative economy, the governance of political speech should still be off the table, especially if authoritarian capitalism is in its eventual death throes, because they will be the first ones to say, no, we need to regulate this speech when they're in danger. Well, what's good sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. I hope these comments have raised issues not previously discussed in this debate. As I have not seen them covered, that doesn't mean they haven't been raised, but I have a feeling such comments would have been inflammatory enough to cover. And hopefully this will end parts of that debate. Thank you again. I hope for the opportunity to address the committee, and this video, of course, will be copied to, or the link will be copied to the committee itself and be available on my YouTube page. Good day, and thank you for watching.